And we're back for another 10 Point Podcast weekly movie news, where this time I'm not going to offend anybody or say anything that will piss people off.
Right, okay.
Pretty much.
Friendly.
And that's
Christmas.
the end of this week. We'll see you next week.
Exactly.
Well,
it's almost coming up to the new year, so it's new year, new me. I'm going to be friendly, happy. Next season, season 7, will be the year of, or the season of me not swearing, not offending anybody. I'm going to be proper. But until then,
we might get promoted on YouTube at that point. Then
I was £10 last the first word.
Yeah.
Well, so we'll start with Chris. What do you watch? Because I've not watched much.
I've not watched much either. Actually, I finished Wednesday. Took me a couple of days. Not bad.
Very good, isn't it?
I won't spoil it for people, but
she's creepy as fuck, though.
See, I thought she was, I don't know, too normal compared to what Wednesday Adam is, and so is Morticia. And I don't understand how Gomez managed to lose a foot in height.
I don't know. I still like the cast, but yeah, it's amazing how her whole thing just blew up because obviously she was in all I knew her from was Scream, and I actually forgot that she was in the new Scream as well.
Is she in the new Scream? I didn't know that. Let me have a Google while you carry on.
Yeah, she's in the last Scream, and then she's in the new Scream.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's one of them faces that you don't recognise, but now she's just going to be Wednesday. That's who she is.
That's her sorted out now. But it's like your typical teenage whodunit kind of thing. They try and mark it up.
It did take me there was not to spoil it, but straight away I was like, it's that person. And then literally did a good job of getting me away. It's like, oh no, it can't be that person.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's definitely this person now. And it's like, no, it's not. It's like, all right. Every episode I kept changing. It's like, and it was back to my original. Yep, it was that person.
See, I thought it was the person you're thinking of, but then when it wasn't, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But
that's a spoiler spree for spoiler thing.
I was only half listening because I've not seen it yet, but I don't recognise her being
this person. But they kind of changed this person, so there's a lot of this person.
Yeah.
Kind of spoiler free. Apart from that, I also started watching the Pinocchio thing from Guillermo del Toro.
Big Pinocchio fan, Chris is, of course.
But I didn't watch the whole thing because I had to start watching Avatar. I forgot about that. I forgot we had to move up a day.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So from what I've seen, I like the stop motion aspect of it. It's crazy detailed. So
I've heard it's the best of the 5 Pinocchio versions
that have came out this year.
Or whatever it is, yeah.
I might watch it. I mean, I'm a massive hatred of stop motion, except for that film that came out a few years ago where it was all Japanesey. Can't remember what that film was. It was really good though.
Oh, I think I know what you mean.
I feel like it begins with a K. Was it Kenobu?
Kubo and the 2 Strings.
Yeah,
that was pretty good. That James got that on Blu-ray. Yeah,
I went to the cinema. I think it was one of these unlimited screening ones where you went in and you didn't know what you were going to watch, and I was like, oh fuck me, I'm watching that. And then Chantel's like, oh, we'll stay and watch. And I was like, all right. And then about 20 minutes in, I was like, I'm hooked. This is a banger. This.
Because the way Andy says Japanesey, we all know what Andy's like on this podcast now, but he is right. The actual story of it is told in a sort of Asian kind of cinema way where me as a Westerner and those I've spoken to about the film kind of don't really know what's going on some of the time, which seems to be how the Japanese like making their stories. And and I think it's a Western film because it's got Matthew McConaughey and other people, famous people in it. But yeah, it's not a Hollywood linear sort of story that you would expect from that sort of. You look at it like a kids' film or a family film, you want to call it.
I tried to watch it with the kids, but they weren't interested, so I'm going to give another bash.
And I like the end credit because all the way through, it's this is well animated, and then at the end, you just see that it's oh no, they built these and did all the stop motion thing. It's look at hell, that's mental.
It blows my mind how they can do that and how long every individual little finger twitches.
Don't get me wrong, as a kid, I was blown away with Pingu and Morph.
Morph was awesome.
I always wanted to do that shit, but I don't have the patience.
Oh yeah.
It'd basically be a ball and then suddenly it'd be fully built and go, that's it, done. You have to get the in between parts.
For the day,
so apart from that, I've not really watched much.
Right, Bruce looks like he's gagging on watching something.
I watched something.
Other than football.
I watched something other than football, which I have watched some football. So I thought, right, teaser for where I'm going in this news podcast is we're coming towards the end of the year here. We mentioned it last week. We need to do our best of soon. So I thought, right, there has to be some films this year that I didn't see that I can now watch at home because films come out like the day after on home streaming these days. So there must be one. So I found a list of it was like the most popular films to come out this year. And I was like, right, scene, Top Gun, blah, 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 all the way down. Someone's not muted their phone all the way down. And then I was like,
Alright, it's
this
just Sean.
here.
It's just Sean.
It's Sean. Okay. I got to this one. I was like, okay, I'll watch that. I've heard about it. And I can watch it on Amazon Prime, I think it was. Anyway, there's a film called X. Now, unbeknownst to me,
I've seen
Jenna
the trailer for
Ortega
it.
is in this as well. So completely, like, I started watching the film and her name came up on the credits, and I'm like, bloody hell, it's Wednesday. She's in
Yeah.
everything at the moment, and I've found that she was in Scream, which I saw this year as well. So X is basically it's a 1970s horror film, but they made it this year. I will try my best to not spoil it for you because I do recommend it. I think it's definitely Chris's kind of thing. Like, I think out of the two of you, Chris will love it. I'm not sure you would, Andy, but you'll definitely like aspects of it. Basically, it's like there's like 8 people in the film, and most of them are a group of people that go to like a farm in the middle of nowhere to film an X-rated movie in the 70s when that sort of thing became popular. Home videos, X-rated films, and all that. But they don't tell the guy whose farm they're going to that's what they're doing. So it's all about what happens when these, I don't know, country folk have these, not even city folk, just like young ones in the 70s come and do this dastardly stuff on their farm, and what goes on from there. It's Friday the 13th, it's Texas Chainsaw Massacre, it's a horror film, but it's not blood and guts, but it is a horror film. I sat and watched it, and Jade at the end asked me questions about it. Saying, "What were you watching?" I was a film called X, and I told her
What were you watching?
Yeah, some tidbits of trivia that I'd learned after finishing it, and she was like, "Oh, it's from this year. It looks. I thought you were watching a really, really old film." So she was fooled. She thought it was literally a 1970s film I was watching, but it blew my mind with something I found out afterwards after watching it. But yeah, X, highly recommended. It might sneak into my top 5 when we get to that. It might do. It's in the running for making it my top 5.
I was thinking about my top 5 before, and I can't name 5 films I've watched this year.
You need to get out more.
I can't just think of films, but there's probably a few that I've watched.
But there's the main actress in it is someone called Mia Goth or Maya Goth.
She looks weird.
Yeah, I don't know her at all.
Eyebrows.
Yeah, I don't know her at all, but she's like the star of this film. But it has Brittany Snow in it, who I didn't recognise till afterwards, who's been in TV shows and films for a few. But yeah, there's barely. It's a really small cast, so it's highly recommended. But yeah, not family friendly by any stretch. So there's a bit of everything and a lot of some things. So, but yeah, I'd recommend it, and you might hear more about it when we do the top 10, top 5 thing. That's
Anything
me.
else?
Nope, that was it for me.
All that exciting. I thought you were like, I'll go to this, I'll watch this, I'll watch
I can keep going. I keep telling you about this one film I watched if you like. But, I did watch Avatar twice this week, so it was a struggle.
That was the problem, because as people don't know, we've kind of shifted our production days up, so we kind of lost some of the things. So I've literally watched 0 movies because it's been too cold and I've just been drinking to keep myself warm. However, I've been catching up on a shit ton of TV, so I'll do my TV highlights.
Go.
Mythic Quest, new season started. Watch that, it's pretty good. Apple. Young Rock, that's kicking back up again. I think that's season 3. Absolutely brilliant season. This is the season that everybody's been waiting for. This is The Rock is in the WWF. He's just joined the nation. It's that era, and it is like absolutely brilliant, along with tiny little bits. And then what do you call him? The guy from what do you call Ant-Man and that, the Asian dude. He's pretty good in it as well. I can't remember his name.
I've not watched the show to even have a guess, I'm afraid. So
he's also in the
Ken Randall, not Ken Randall. Is it Ken Randall?
Randall Park.
That's the one, yeah.
That's Randall Park. Yeah, him. He's really good in the Young Rock. However, he's not so good in the Blockbuster. I decided to watch Blockbuster, which is the BBC, the Netflix kind of, I don't know, mockumentary of Blockbuster. I don't exactly know what it's meant to be.
Yeah.
And I think this is where the problem with the show is. It's meant to be comedy. It's got a lot of good people in it. It's got like Brooklyn Nine-Nine people. It's got like Randall Park. He's really good. But it's not funny one bit. Like I've watched about 5 episodes, and it's not one bit funny. And I don't know what it is. So don't watch that. However, catching up on Chantel's favourite show, which is Somebody Feed Phil on Netflix, which, if you don't know who Phil is, he's the guy that does. He's the creator of Everybody Loves Raymond. He's the director, and it's basically about him going around the world eating food.
Oh, fair enough.
But it is one of these shows where if you're not into food shows or travel shows, if you watch it, you'll be captivated by this guy because he is just the nicest, friendly. He makes the world feel like a better place.
Oh.
So definitely go watch Somebody Feeds Phil. And other than that, I've just been watching some mental discovery shows and learning about the world and learning about where Atlantis went to and where Roanoke people went to. That's pretty much what I've done. Because I'll be pretty much saving myself for Avatar, which will be coming up very soon in the main podcast.
Yeah.
And I will be going to see it on Friday as well.
Yeah, the new one.
Yeah.
We'll probably be covering that next week's news, I would say.
That's a wee sneak peek. So, speaking of sneak peeks, Bruce, what have we actually got to look forward to in the cinemas? Maybe we'll talk about it now.
Are we just skipping news, are we? Right, okay.
I forgot about the news bit.
I mean, I can go first.
Well, I was going
to
segue from the Avatar into the news thing.
Well,
but,
I can go, if you want to go first.
Because the news, I've got one bit of news.
Right.
So
I haven't.
Go into it.
Right. Okay, so I haven't prepared any preview of what's in the cinema because literally it's just Avatar that is coming out. Avatar: The Way of Water, somehow starring the same people, and we'll get to on our main episodic podcast later on in the timeline, which is going to be intriguing how some characters are coming back. But it's the same folk. I've tried to avoid finding out what it's about because I'm going to go see it, so I don't really want to know. But one blurb was the vaguest thing ever about we catch up with the Sully family (brackets Jake and Neytiri) and their kids or something like that as they deal with and literally things that you have in life. Like the trials, the tribulations, the ups and downs of life on Pandora. And it's like, all right, thank you. So basically, the characters in the first one, we're going to go see what they're up to 10 years later it is. So actually, in real time, it's less than what the actual time is between the films.
Jake's regretting leaving his past life and wants to go back.
Maybe. So that's literally, I can't find another film that's coming out at the cinema this week, which is sensible.
Xbox.
Which is kind of why I threw over to you at this point, because I knew you're not going to have much.
Yeah, there's nothing else. I've actually given up on finding out what's on streaming because they don't advertise films until they come out. And they're like, oh, something's out, go watch it on Netflix today. Like that bloody Pinocchio. Like I had no idea that was coming out until like.
Yeah, they just drop shit, don't they?
So I'm stopping that aspect. In fact, the whole preview might just go next season. I don't know what's going to happen here. No one goes to the movies anymore. Nope. Even Avatar's not going to do well. Because as proven, I've actually got my numbers from last week here. Number one at the box office, still Matilda. It took over twice what Black Panther did this week, somehow. So the weekend gross of Roald Dahl's Matilda the musical in the UK was 2 million last week. And it's like, how? Who's going to see that? It's like, so that was number one. Violent Night, number three. That Strange World that didn't make any money is still at number four. It made 300,000 in the UK. And then The Menu still number five. And I've got the whole list this week because I had so little to do. Elf was number six. That's how bad it is at the cinema. I didn't actually see the original Avatar. I don't think it cracked anything. I don't know if it's got a proper release or anything like that. But yeah, literally just one film at cinemas, Avatar: The Way of Water. I'm going to go see it. I've not decided if I'm going to go see it with lasers or not. Or if it's
I've decided that I am just going to go watch it in standard screen.
Cool.
Because one, I'm going to go watch it Friday night, so IMAX is fucked. Everybody's going to that one. And then I thought 3.5 hours of 3D, that's going to do my head in. And then I thought 3.5 hours of 3D and 4DX, I might actually throw up. So I thought I'm just going to enjoy it on a nice, clear super screen, just a normal. Like that's what I'm doing. So keeping it simple.
But that's me. But once you finish the news, I have one more aspect. So do throw back to me at the end, Andy.
I will, because just shaking up the news format because I'm hammered and can't remember our own format that we've honed in for an entire season.
You think we'd write this sort of stuff down?
No, I know you guys have got a nice script. I literally wing this every single time. So news-wise, I've got a few bits of news, but it's been a pretty slow news week as well. However, we do need to talk about everything we slated about Warner Bros., who always seem to come up, and how everything was shit-canned. Well, apparently, Patty Jennings, who is the Wonder Woman director...
Jenkins.
Yeah, I heard too. Basically said that all these are just rumours and Wonder Woman 3 is still going ahead.
Right. I still want paid for this, by the
way.
Yes.
But then I don't know how much I believe her, because she's also came out and went, the Rogue Squadron movie that I was doing and then I wasn't doing, but I am doing that. So I don't know what
Yeah.
people are talking about then. I feel like she's just fighting for her jobs at the moment.
I
going,
say maybe my work's drying up a bit here. Everything I'm involved with is getting cancelled.
yeah, I'll do that. I'll come back and do that. Oh, do you want me to do that? I'll do that. But apparently, if you go by her word, there's not been any official like statements out of this. But yeah, apparently she's still doing both of those movies. And then Warner Bros. Have semi-released a statement about how, remember we said Black Adam tanked, and then The Rock came out and went, well, it hasn't.
Right.
Here's the numbers. Apparently, The Rock was not meant to leak those numbers because Warner Bros. Were still hiding some money, as we shall say.
Right, okay.
So yeah, they were basically trying to put their marketing budget massively into Black Adam and basically saying, fucking hell, we've lost a load of money. Whereas The Rock went, whoa, wait a minute, hold your roll. You haven't. And yeah, so now The Rock's kind of shut up about everything, and Warner Bros. Are kind of shut up about that as well. So that's a developing story as we kind of carry on.
Right.
So other news on stuff that might actually come out and be good. Scream 6.
Ah, yes.
The trailer just dropped. I watched it. I'm in. I'm all in. Because the problem after 5 Scream movies, you're like, what can they do now? You've got this person is married to this person, is connected to this by a cousin, and everybody's getting stabbed. That's just what it is. But the one thing that Scream always has is in a small little town. Whereas now, Scream 6, New York City.
Right, okay.
I'm ready for it.
Yeah,
And
I very much like that new one, the 5th one that wasn't.
Yeah, I
called
did.
Scream
I enjoyed
5.
it.
I thought it was the right thing at the right time. Like they went in the right direction with it, and
Yeah.
I haven't seen a Scream since Scream 2.
You need to watch some Screams. They're pretty good.
3 is terrible, 4's all right, and 5's quite good, I think.
Yeah.
So I liked 4 better than average, and I think I definitely like 5 better than average.
I did read that Jenna Ortega said this could be the most violent Ghostface we've seen yet.
I mean, I've seen the 1-minute trailer, and it's basically them on a subway and Ghostface, and yes, it looks pretty violent already. But I'm all in. New York City, Ghostface running around, causing havoc. This could be pretty epic. So
I would think this, like, the whole thing, obviously, with every Scream movie is basically who the hell is dressing up as Ghostface. Now, it's not like it's the same guy. It's not like it is Michael Myers, and it's not like it is Freddy Krueger. So every time they do have to literally go a different direction with it, and it has to be someone that makes sense to go back to why they would dress up as the same villain every single time, and all that. So it's quite a web they need to spin in order for it to continue making sense 20 years later now.
I think the last one, it should be Sidney Prescott. She's like, I'm sick of this, and she goes around and stabbing everybody.
Oh, yeah, I think so. When Neve Campbell's work drives,
you might have just called it Scream 6. That could be the killer, Chris. You just do not know. We'll do something for our younger listeners, and by younger I mean like under the age of 10.
I'm sure we've got millions of them.
I'm sure we do. We're in the kids section on YouTube now.
Fuck
them. So obviously the adults, we were talking about this last week as well, have the new Winnie the Pooh adult horror film.
That's right. Yeah.
So while this is coming up, I think they thought it was a great idea on the back of that to go and do a Winnie the Pooh prequel, as in the Winnie the Pooh, like the kind of animated thing. They're going to do a prequel thing where they kind of all get together, I suppose, and I don't know the story of Winnie the Pooh.
Winnie before the Pooh, is that what it is?
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, when Winnie met Pooh, I don't know what it's going to be called.
When Winnie met Piglet, yeah.
but yeah, so that's in development, which just seems weird. Like bring out this horror film, which is coming out in a few months, and then I don't know, we'll bring out another cartoon because the kids are going to fuck that right up like they do in our podcast. So
they're going to Google it.
They're going to Google it.
Come up with the wrong thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just exactly like what people are doing with the Grinch at the moment. It's like, oh, I want to watch the Grinch, and if you like thingy Grinch, the mean one comes up, which is just because that's all like I thought that was coming straight to streaming services, but it's all in American cinemas at the moment.
Right.
And apparently doing really well, but getting really bad reviews. Right. But everybody wants to go and see it just to make sure it is that bad.
It's a good way to make money, actually, because like I said, they release these Christmas films every year now. So just bring out like another film that it's like called The Elf or something like that. And everyone will go to, let's go see Elf, buy tickets to see your movie, and it's a completely different film altogether. And you've already got the money at that point. So,
yep.
Maybe we should get into film production, make all these films.
And there's a new comedy film up because obviously we've had a run of comedies. Don't know what it's called yet. But it's starring John Cena and Jason Momoa.
For fuck's sake, of all the news I could have had, you could have picked. You picked the 2 ones that I picked.
What, you got a Piglet and John Cena?
Oh, no, Scream 6 and John Cena.
All right. But yeah, John Cena, Jason Momoa. That's going to be a killer vacation or something like that. I think
Right.
that's what the film's called.
Yeah.
It's a working title, so I'm
It'll
up
be
for that because John
very
Cena's been pretty good in
tongue-in-cheek.
everything he's in.
I imagine, yeah. It will be played straight. I don't think the two of them
Exactly.
are tend to act up.
So, Chris, what movie news do you have?
I hate you.
That's not news.
Well, it's not really. It's like another. I said they're in talks with Jason Momoa and Dave Bautista to do like a Lethal Weapon style buddy cops movie, but that was.
Batista's busy going to be filming Gears of War. That's what he needs to be doing. That is
Oh,
his
Jason
role.
Momoa would be a good. What the fuck's he called? Dom.
Dom. Nah, definitely needs to be. Who do we say? There's some. What do you call him? The guy from Punisher, the series.
Oh, John Bernthal.
Yeah, he's Dom.
Yeah, I can see that. It looks
Yeah,
like
definitely.
Yeah, apart
And
from
then Ryan Reynolds is Carmine.
Yeah,
all
you
of
can
them, all the
All the
brothers.
Carmines. Yeah.
Yeah. So apart from that's all the news I've got.
He seems so sad.
Because
Oh,
I
go
think
on.
I'll go for obscure things. I think Andy's.
We
gonna
should
go
really
for obscure
rehearse
things.
this stuff. Well, it's been a slow news week.
Yeah, I know it's all like Warner Brothers. Is this part of this?
It is literally
universe?
Warner Bros. Has dominated the entire news, and they have done. This is what's true.
The
Last
Pac-Man
time-
might become canon. That's
What?
about it.
What
That's
Pat-
it. It's not official.
the Patterson one.
Patterson Batman, yeah.
Oh, I thought
He
you
might
said
be part-
Pac-Man, and I
That's
thought
a
Andy was asking
Pac-Man.
what you were talking about, and I was like, "What Pac-Man?" So it become canon and what?
Yeah.
It's
He
like,
might
yes.
be
In the
part of-
MCU, Batman's there.
Yeah.
But yeah, apart
Alright.
from that, you've
At least our
news.
listeners no, we don't rehearse this, and it is literally just done off the seat of our pants because we
It's
don't
literally just us filming a conversation that we have.
exactly pretending to be professionals, like getting things in the wrong format, just doing whatever the hell we want. So, Bruce, why don't you finish us off with your tidbit that you have?
So this special thing, I've already mentioned it. This is adding more fuel to the fire of we don't actually know what we're doing. We're going to have an on-air production meeting right here. Next week's news seems to me like it would be the perfect time for us to do our 10-point podcast top 10 of 2022.
Oh, good, dude.
Because I would imagine Andy and I will see our final films of the year.
And Chris
basically.
hasn't watched one film, so
And Chris won't go see Avatar before the year is out, and we're not doing it in May this time. So I would say the two lads prepare their top 5 movies of the year, and I'll prepare my top 5, and I will add them all together. Sorry, the Academy of the Temple Podcast will add them all together and work out what our top 10 is, and that will be revealed next week's news. But I do invite all listeners, anyone with an earshot of this podcast, send us your top 5s or even your top 10s if you want. And if I get enough kind of variation, and I can make a separate one for what our listeners think, since you can't sully our one's special.
exactly. Even though we have thousands and thousands of listeners each week, we have nobody ever talk to us because I think they're scared.
That's the way, yeah.
There was that first mistake where we had our first tweet saying Robert
And you
Pattinson.
savaged them.
Yeah.
Everybody's been scared since then, but we're friendly now. We're different people.
What to hear from
You've
you. So
nailed
just
it big time.
Yeah,
send
come
in
back to us.
the only criteria, this often gets debated, but the criteria we basically have is it has to have a release in 2022 that can be a US or UK release, i.e. some films don't quite come out in time in the UK, sometimes some films come out
Hence the
too
reason why
early.
you picked the
A film
Andy
wasn't out in the
Samberg
UK.
film.
Yeah, exactly. So as long as it was released in 2022 in either the UK or the US, you can have it on your top 5 or top 10. And next week we'll work out what we have. I meant to write down what the previous winners were. I can't remember what won last year. I think it was almost a landslide, but I remember
Not one of
Borat
my
was
films. Skew the thing about the Willoughbys came quite top because I
That-
put it like quite high up on my list.
That was because I think Andy had not seen it and I'd never heard of it, and you had it as like number 3 in your top 5
Yeah.
or something like that. I'd never even heard of it. Yeah, I remember Borat 2 was the winner the first year we did this, and I can't remember, despite the fact it was only about 6 months ago, I can't remember what was the best film of
It's
last
been a
year.
long season.
I know I voted Mortal Kombat was my number 1, but I don't think it came number 1. So it's probably
Oh,
something
it might have been
obvious.
Godzilla that I nominated versus King of the Kong.
Kong could have been. Either way, that'll be next week. We'll sneak in whatever normal news we have and all that, and then we'll do our top 10.
Free up an extra 40 minutes in your schedule because the news might run a bit longer. And speaking of running a bit longer, Bruce decided to pick a mammoth film for our next one. So if none of these things tickle your fancy and there's nothing to go to see except from Avatar 2, what a perfect time to go watch Avatar 1, which was Bruce's pick because he had a free pick and decided to make us watch Avatar.
Yeah.
Which kind of worked because I was going to watch it anyway.
Exactly.
But if Avatar doesn't tickle your fancy, you still have to listen to the podcast because there's going to be some controversy at the very end. It's definitely worth tuning into. So join us for the main podcast on Avatar, and join us next week for our top 5 of 2022 and maybe some news if there is any.